flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, please remain standing. Please keep in mind all the first responders, our police, EMS, and fire here at home, as well as all the military, both home and abroad, that allow us to have a meeting like this today. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome tonight to the regularly scheduled Jackson Township Council meeting of July 28th, 2020. The time is now 7:30 p.m. My name is Janice Kisty, Jackson Township Clerk. I'll begin with a roll call. Councilman Bressi?
Here.
Councilman Chisholm? Here. Councilman Fleming?
Here.
Council Vice President Kern?
Here.
Council President Sawicki?
Here.
Attorney Gregory McGuckin? And also present this evening is our Business Administrator, Terrence Wall. As clerk of this meeting, I publicly announce that in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been advertised in the manner prescribed by law. This statement shall be entered in the minutes of the meeting. I'd like to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to add ordinance 12-20 for first reading. And that ordinance is an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, establishing Chapter 350 of the Township Code of the Township of Jackson, prohibiting short-term rentals of residential dwellings, amenities, or features thereof. May I have a motion?
So moved. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm? Yes. Councilman Fleming? Yes. Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
And Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
Thank you. We now have a proclamation this evening.
Yes, we do, and Councilman Chisholm is going to read it.
So tonight we'd like to honor one of our local businessmen. We have a proclamation here celebrating Sal Vigilante. Whereas we are gathered here today with family, friends, and residents as we honor Salvatore Vigilante upon his retirement. And whereas, born in Sicily, Italy, Sal moved to Paterson, New Jersey in 1968, began working at an Italian bakery at the age of 15. It was at this time that he learned baking was his passion. And whereas this passion led him to operate Donut Chef in Freehold Township, where he perfected his skills before moving to Jackson Township in 1999 and purchasing his own bakery, the Village Donut Shop. And whereas Sal would begin baking each morning around 3 a.m., serving nothing but the freshest pastries to his loyal customers, which were often sold out by 10 a.m., his daughter Rita Marie and granddaughter Isabella could often be seen sitting at the counter enjoying his company and good conversation with the customers. And whereas Sal loved serving our community and did so with a smile on his face and having a good laugh with his regulars, customers would often hear him singing along to Frank Sinatra while he worked. He was always very generous when it came to feeding the less fortunate and always was there to help out with local causes like Girl and Boy Scouts. His dedication earned him the recognition as one of the best donut shops in New Jersey, and most recently being named to NJ.com's 30 Sweetest Spots across the state in June of 2020. And now, therefore, Mayor Mike Reyna and the Township Council members of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, hereby extend to Salvatore Vigilante our sincerest gratitude and utmost respect for his dedication, service, and the memories created for the residents of Jackson Township. Furthermore, as Sal embarks upon his retirement and the new adventures that await him, we extend our very best wishes for happiness in all of his future endeavors, and as he would often say to his customers, take it nice and easy, and God bless you. Salvatore Vigilante. Would you care to say anything, Sal?
You want me to say something?
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Lord that I'm here. Second of all, I'd like to thank the DeVitas family that gave me the chance to buy the Village Donut Shop, and they were always generous. Third, I'd like to thank all the police department, the fire department, and all the boys overseas that keeps America safe. And I don't know what else to say. God bless Jackson, and God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. That was very nice. We'll now continue with comments from the Township Council. Council President Sawicki.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you for everyone coming out tonight, and congratulations to Mr. Vigilante. I think the proclamation from our newest councilman, Councilman Chisholm, was eloquent and really captured the thanks the town and its residents have for Mr. Vigilante and really making the Village Donut an institution. Separately, as many of you know by now, we had an unusual and unwelcome event in the town this past Sunday night into Monday morning with a 700-person party advertised at a rental home in the center of a quiet development. I do want to start with a positive in that once again our police department showed why they're second to none in the state. In particular, the officer on the scene, when seeing the number of people approach 200, took immediate steps to call for backup from police from surrounding towns, state police, and the sheriff's office. No doubt by doing so and increasing the police presence, Jackson Police avoided what could have been a lot worse, and we should be proud of the fact that they were able to disperse what grew to 700 people without incident. The homeowner of just a couple of days allowed outside entities to advertise a party that was clearly going against executive orders related to COVID-19, as well as town ordinances regarding causing a public nuisance. Once again, Jackson was painted in a negative spotlight by residents that don't live in our town. I want to reiterate and make that clear. Once again, Jackson was painted in a negative spotlight by residents that don't live in our town. They don't live here, they don't care about the town, and while all are welcome in Jackson, those who intend to wreak havoc and disturb the quality of life that the residents of Jackson expect and deserve will not be tolerated. Summonses have been issued to all parties involved, including the homeowner and party organizers. We are confident that the Jackson Police will investigate thoroughly and issue any additional summonses possible. We have spoken to representatives of Airbnb, where the property was rented and the party advertised, who have confirmed they have removed the property listing, which apparently had additional events already set up, as well as the accounts of the party organizers. The council has asked our town attorney to take all steps necessary to hold the homeowner accountable for the services to disperse the illegal party. While it was great that there was a professional police presence to disperse the party, those services may come at a cost and should not be on the backs of the Jackson taxpayer. Lastly, as the clerk mentioned, we amended the agenda tonight to introduce an ordinance from the floor. This is to ban Airbnb rentals to nothing under 30 days and pool rentals. To be clear, this is not a knee-jerk reaction, but more the final straw. This council has repeatedly said we will fight for our fellow residents' quality of life, and he can be sure that this incident will not simply go away with a fine, but will be a catalyst to ensure that it never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bressi?
Yes, Mr. Vigilante left the room, but, you know, it is appreciation, a man being honored for what he did. And yet he took the time out to recognize our first responders, police, emergency, fire departments, and our armed forces. And I think that when you see a person like that on a night for him to take time out to realize the country we live in and how we have it is a tribute to what he believes in and what America is. I was truly glad to hear that. As you heard the council president say with this event Saturday, the police acted great. Response, no injuries, no nothing. But I think that goes along with the last couple of weeks. A couple of weeks ago, Marty Fleming read a statement, rather long one, regarding the police department, how good they were. Last meeting, we had some officers promoted with their history and reasonings why they were promoted and how they're part of a great police department. And this weekend, they just showed it once again how good they are and working along with other police departments. and we really have to appreciate the caliber of the Jackson Police Department. Thank you, and thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Chisholm?
I'd just once again like to congratulate Sal on his retirement and wish him well. And I do thank him for all his years of service here to the community. And at this point, I'll just echo what the council president has said and waive the rest of my comments for now. Thank you.
Councilman Fleming?
Yes, I'd like to reiterate what my predecessor said. Wish Sal that he can make what he's going to do next. And I just have some comments I'm going to hold off from this meeting because of the importance of our House President.
Council Vice President Kern?
Thank you. And congratulations to Mr. Vigilante on his retirement. While undoubtedly Council President's comments address the most pressing issue of the day, tonight we have on the agenda a resolution to add a question to November's ballot for voters on increasing the open space fund, as well as to be able to use those funds on things like historical preservation, as well as farmland preservation, which currently has not been included. As this 2020 council has been clear on since the beginning, it is our intent to continue in a big way our open space policy to protect Jackson's unique environment while simultaneously protecting against overdevelopment. If you didn't have a chance to read the resolution, in 2004, voters voted to increase the open space tax from 1.5 cents to 3 cents per $100 of assessed value. In 2010, by way of resolution, the council, during the recession times, then lowered the rate from 3 cents to 2 cents. Technically, because voters already approved in 2004, the 3 cent rate, this council, by resolution, could vote and return the amount back to 3 cents. However, given the time that has passed, we would prefer to put it in the hands of the voters and let them tell us if you are in full support. Increasing the ability to include historical preservation will allow us to make things like Rova Farms, which the town purchased last year, into something that all residents can utilize and be proud of for generations to come. And council's intent to show the residents between now and November how we are going to spend our open space funds on properties we are already working, which makes sense, and which are in line with protecting Jackson's environment and continuing to protect against overdevelopment. Thank you, and please get home safe.
Thank you. May I make the comment about the census, please?
Yes, please.
Thank you. This year is 2020, and it's census time again. This is just a reminder for anyone who has not yet completed the 2020 census. You may do so online, 2020census.gov, and just know that your information is completely confidential, and it is very important for everyone to be counted during the census. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. May I have a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes of July 14th, 2020?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes?
Councilman Fleming? Yes. Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
And Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinances for second reading. 10-20 is an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the Township of Jackson to lease certain property from the Jackson Township Volunteer Fire Company Number 1 for the purposes of constructing and installing telecommunication equipment thereon pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-5. We will now have the public hearing on this ordinance. If you wish to speak on the ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself.
Seeing no one, move to close the public portion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance 10-20 on second reading. Advertise the notice of passage and approval in an approved newspaper as required by law.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 11-20 is an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 233 of the Jackson Township Code entitled Certificates of Occupancy for Existing Buildings or Dwellings. We will now have the public hearing on this ordinance. If you wish to speak on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself.
Seeing no one, move to close the public portion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ordinance 11-20 on second reading, advertise the notice of passage and approval in an approved newspaper as required by law.
So moved?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
Ordinance 12-20 on first reading is an ordinance of the Township of Jackson, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, establishing Chapter 350 of the Township Code of the Township of Jackson, prohibiting short-term rentals of residential dwellings, amenities, or features thereof. Motion to approve ordinance 12-20 on first reading, advertise the notice of approval with a public hearing on this ordinance to be held on August 11, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Councilman Kern? Council
Yes.
Vice President Kern, I apologize. And
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
Thank you. We will now have public comment on resolutions only. If you wish to speak on resolutions, please come to the microphone now.
Seeing no one, move to close public portion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 256R-20 is to authorize the submittal of a public question to the registered voters of Jackson Township to increase the annual open space tax.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
257R-20, authorized purchase of 5 Ford Escape vehicles in the amount of $127,480 from Winter Ford, an approved Ocean County Co-op vendor for the Building Department and Code Enforcement Department.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
And Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
258R-20, authorized contract award to Mazda Recycling Services for disposal of Type 13 and 13C recyclable waste.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
259R-20, authorized contract award to Mazda Recycling Services for the sale of scrap metal.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
260R-20, authorized renewal of liquor licenses for the Township of Jackson for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi?
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm?
Yes.
Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern?
Yes.
Council President Sawicki?
Yes.
261R-20, authorize OC Cares Grant Program Agreement between the Township of Jackson and the County of Ocean Board of Chosen Freeholders to facilitate OC Cares grant funding.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi,
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm,
Yes.
Councilman Fleming, Council Vice President Kern,
Yes.
Council President Sawicki.
Yes.
262R-20, authorize the purchase of 2 Ford Escape vehicles in the amount of $57,013.60 from Buyer Ford, an approved ESCNJ co-op for the police department.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi,
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm,
Yes.
Councilman Fleming, Council Vice President Kern,
Yes.
Council President Sawicki.
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion for bills and claims?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bressi,
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm,
Yes, but abstain from BRI 18 and EDW 04.
thank you. Councilman Fleming? Council Vice President Kern,
Yes.
Council President Sawicki.
Yes.
Thank you. Move on to the consent agenda, which is one vote for all of the following resolutions. 263R-20, authorize tax overpayment refunds. 264R-20, authorize the tax collector to participate in an electronic tax sale. 265R-20, authorize DAV exemption on Block 5801, Lot 29. 266R-20, request approval for the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87 for the 2020 Safe and Secure Communities Program Grant. 267R-20, authorize the submission and acceptance of the fiscal year 2020 and 2021 pedestrian safety grant from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety in the amount of $6,270. 268R-20, request approval for the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87 for the fiscal year 2021 New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic and Safety Pedestrian Safety Grant. 269R-20, request approval for the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-87 for the shared services agreement between the Township of Jackson and the Jackson Township Board of Education for 2 school resource officers for the Jackson Township School District. 270R-20, approved treasurer's report for June 2020. 271R-20, amend Resolution 110R-20, authorizing purchases from approved New Jersey state contract vendors for calendar year 2020 to add Armor Express, WB Mason, and to amend vendor name Neopost to Neopost doing business as Quadient Incorporated. 272R-20, authorize renewal of a junkyard license for calendar year 2020 to Central Jersey Auto Salvage, Block 2501, Lot 15, 378 West Commodore Boulevard. 273R-20, approve Township Council meeting minutes of July 14th, 2020. 274R-20, authorize renewal of a junkyard license for calendar year 2020 to Central Jersey Auto Salvage 2, Block 902, Lots 8, 9, and 10, 470 Chandler Road. 275R-20, authorize renewal of a kennel license for calendar year 2020 to Audrey DeGaster, trading as Ain't Misbehaving Canine Sleepover, Block 2403, Lot 11, 156 West Commodore Boulevard. And 276R-20, authorize a shared services agreement with Ocean County Department of Solid Waste Management for the Ocean County Leaf and Vegetative Waste Composting Program.
So moved.
So moved, and well done, Janice.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilman Bressi.
Yes.
Councilman Chisholm.
Yes.
Councilman Fleming. Council Vice President Kern.
Yes.
And Council President Sawicki.
Yes.
Thank you. We will now have public comment on any topic. If you wish to address the council, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record.
Hello, my
And-
name is Gavin Coote. I'm a Life Scout. and
What's
troop-
your address, Gavin?
What was that?
Your address, please.
It would be 405 Burke Road.
Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. So, my name is Gavin Coote. I'm a Life Scout in Troop 204. I am organizing a 5K for my Eagle Scout project. And this 5K will honor all first responders as well as benefit the Jackson Mills Volunteer Fire Company, Station 54. The event will take place on August 29th at Johnson Park. And I plan to create a scholarship for a Jackson student with parents that are first responders. I would also like to thank Council President Sawicki, Business Administrator Wall, as well as Joey Lynn Anderson from the Recreation Department.
Great. And this is for your Eagle?
Yes, that is correct.
That's great.
I am looking for help advertising this event. I need more runners and walkers. So I have flyers here. If anyone is interested in more information or signing up, leave them right here.
You can feel free to hand it to anybody that's interested, or you can leave them at the table on the way out as well.
Gavin, the man over here is from the Jackson Times. You want to give him one?
Yeah. But Bob, you're going to run it, right? Bob, you're going to run it though, right?
There you go.
Well, while you're doing that, I think that's a great event that you're planning. I can't tell you how much I'm a fan of the Boy Scouts. Personally, one of my biggest regrets in life was making it to life and not going for Eagle. So the fact that Gavin is making that extra effort and looking to become an Eagle Scout is a great accomplishment. I also appreciate the fact that you're doing it in town and you're doing it to benefit the first responders in town. I think you should be commended for that.
I definitely believe it's an excellent, excellent project. And I really compliment him on it and his tenacity to move forward for Eagle Scout.
Yeah. And again, Gavin, that was on August 29th? Yes, that's correct. Okay, great. Great, thank you. Appreciate the
luck.
comments. Good luck. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening. My name is Lisa Gomez. I'm at 2 Round Hill Road. And I'm grateful to have the support of my neighbors here this evening, and thank you to the council for hearing my comments. I've been blessed to be able to raise 2 children in Jackson and been one of the original owners in Whispering Hills. And suffice it to say, I'm very grateful to the first responders and police that were so active, both multi-jurisdictional and in Jackson. But by the same token, I do have to take some issue with some of the comment that was made that there was no injury that evening, because there was quite a bit of injury done to the residents in that community who've enjoyed many years of tranquil living in a neighborhood where they felt safe and secure. I think under the current climate we have in our country, there's a little bit more going on when you have to worry about a homeowner. You're saying these folks that visited the home were from out of the area and outlanders. It's a little difficult to believe that someone who would have invested in a home for what seems to be the distinct purpose of inciting disruption like this purposefully, to be at the residence on a Sunday evening, waiting for 200 people to show up, ultimately at that time, then vacating the residence knowing what you're leaving behind. That's the intent, ladies and gentlemen, to do harm. There can't be simply a citation or a summons in response to this kind of intent upon your own neighbors, my own family, and that of my neighbors who've joined me here tonight. So I did stop in this morning before my workday to make sure I spoke to the Township Code Enforcement Officer, Mr. Cheney. But by the same token, I'd like the comment of the rest of the council to determine where you're going to go from here. Because I, as a homeowner in that community, who've invested in Jackson, invested in this quality of life, this cannot be allowed with specific intent to harm, to intimidate, to put your resources and mine on the line. That could have gotten so out of control with one of those young men or women that have come from a different town or jurisdiction, and you could be defending your police force or that of the other jurisdictions that had to respond that evening. I have never, in 20 years, living here, have gone through something like that. Additionally, it's an infamous mark on the township and on what we stand for as a community to allow this to go unanswered with strictly a fine or a summons. Gratefully, you had the president of Airbnb respond back. We probably need to be a little bit ahead of the curve. Airbnb has been around a long time, and there's other townships and jurisdictions who have fought this same issue. We probably should have been a little ahead of the curve, but that's the citizens of the town that need to get out in front and make that happen, make you listen, make you hear. I don't know if any of you live in that community and went through that Sunday evening with the rest of my neighbors, but I can tell you it was very unsettling. I've never felt that fearful in my own home. It was absolute chaos, and it could have wound up so much worse. To get a national headline like this, and the fact that there wasn't someone injured or maimed, or the fact that one member of our police force had to take excessive force and then ultimately have to respond in different kind with what's been going on, we're very lucky. But now we need to take action, and we can't allow someone who's decided to become a citizen of our town or a homeowner in our community to take specific intent to intimidate others. Now, I'm not a member of your council, I'm not a member of your board, I'm just an ordinary working woman trying to make a living. All I have is the equity in my home. I need the protection of my police force. I don't believe in defunding them. I'm all about making sure I do the right thing. How do I do that without the support of my council, without the support of the police officers, and without the support of my neighbors? But I'm looking for more of a response than strictly a summons. I'm looking for more of a response than a fine and a slap on the... For somebody to walk in 3 days and pay $605,000 cash, you're not going to scare them with a $10,000 fine or whatever it may be against the governor's executive order. But now it's my family and that of my neighbors that are put in jeopardy at the expense of someone that I should be able to call a neighbor. I hope you realize the intent there, that in 3 days someone closing on a home full cash and then knowingly staying at the property while 200 people showed up has absolutely no intent to be a good neighbor. No intent.
Right.
So now this person, this homeowner, is a member of our community. So now you shouldn't hear just from me, you should definitely hear from the other people. Ooh, there's someone's jewelry here. You should hear from the other people in the neighborhood. But I felt so strongly about this that for 20 years I have never felt fearful in my own home. And I want to know what else will be done, because this was not just someone not knowing what's going on. This was criminal. People could have been hurt. You could have lost members of your police force. You could be defending yourselves on the national headline against a movement that could have gotten so far out of control. And here we are in the thick of it, my neighbors and myself. Thank God for the response. I don't know how they regained order. It was a circus. Yeah. But I'm looking for more of an answer in that regard.
Yeah, well, thank you for the comments. And, you know, if I wasn't clear in my opening comments, I think the council agrees with you 100%. I think signaled by the fact that we introduced an ordinance tonight that was not on the agenda. It was something we made an amendment to the agenda at the beginning of the meeting and introduced for first reading, an ordinance that will prevent those kind of rentals going forward. the gentleman who lives in that house cannot rent that house through Airbnb going forward for less than 30 days, on these short-term rentals that he did.
Right.
In addition, we've asked both the police and our town attorney to continue to look into it to see what additional summonses and fines can be assessed. So it's going beyond what's been initially assigned, as you mentioned.
And maybe dig some, do some homework and find out
Yeah,
who you're dealing with here.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the opening comments, we're not stopping with a
Okay,
fine.
but I'm going to hold
Yeah.
you to it.
Yeah, fine, yeah,
I'm
please.
going to hold you to, and
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a
Yep.
threat, I just mean that I'm promising you.
Yep,
That I'm going to be looking for that kind of an answer.
Yeah.
Because it really, put yourself in the shoes of those 100 homeowners there in the midst of that,
yeah,
in your town.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned being here 20 years. 4 of us are lifelong residents, and we haven't seen anything like this either.
I'm not- yeah, I
And-
didn't
and don't-
say-
And don't want to tolerate it either.
No, I'm just letting you know that I didn't pay cash for my house 3 days ago and move into
Yeah,
town.
yeah.
Certainly not looking to one-up anybody who's lived here a lifetime, but
Yeah.
I've grown up in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and I pride this on being my home. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm
So do
just
we.
a regular girl,
Yeah.
going to work every day, trying to do what everybody else does.
Yeah,
But this was not some innocent, I rented the home and I didn't know. That's not what this was.
yeah.
So, how do you defend against that? I don't think there's really a law written for,
Well, there were some obvious summonses that were given right away. Clearly it was in violation of the COVID-19 executive orders. Those were approved by the Ocean County prosecutor the same night. And like I said, our confidence in both the police and our attorney to continue to look into any other violations that can be assessed, we've asked them to do, in fact, that. So we don't expect this to be a slap on the wrist kind of a thing. And, lastly, I hope you see this was decisive action, adding this item tonight that wasn't even scheduled until, this evening, in terms of changing the requirements for rentals. That house will no longer be allowed to rent short-term.
30 days of peril then.
Sorry?
30 days, no less than 30 days?
No less than 30 days. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
someone with intent to harm, sir, or someone with intent to intimidate the residents of that home, will just find someone, that's going to do it over a 30-day period. That's why it has to be a stronger message. Again, I'm not an attorney, I don't enforce the law, but it's just very difficult for me to believe that, if there's not some answer or repercussion in kind, this is going to all fall for naught, and you're going to have this happening in other communities in your township.
Yeah.
Because if they succeed in West Spring Hills, and they succeed in what's considered one of the nicer communities, it's been a beautiful place to live. You're going to find it happening all over.
Yeah.
But again, you should hear from the rest of my neighbors as well, and I am grateful that everyone came out, and thank you for hearing me,
Great.
but I'll plan on making sure that it's followed up.
Great. Thank you
All
for
right,
the comments.
you.
Nino Borelli, 36 Winthrop Drive, Jackson. Good evening. I want to thank the Township Police Department and other law enforcement in handling effectively the house party of 700 over the weekend. The JTPD is second to none, as the council president stated, and this is just a great example of why they are, and thank God no one got hurt. I want to talk about 2 other topics that were on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I volunteer in our town. I serve on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, so land use issues are of great interest to me. So I want to talk about the increase in the open space tax fund. For one, I want to thank you for leaving it up to the voters of Jackson to decide whether to increase it or not. Unlike the state, which borrows and spends like no tomorrow, time and time again without voter approval. I know the open space tax fund helps you guys to buy up feasible land whenever possible to help curb overdevelopment and urban sprawl in our town, and in turn protect the beautiful environment and resources we happen to be blessed to have here in Jackson. Also, you brought up the appropriations for the 2 school resource officers. It's a great thing to hear about. Nothing is more important than protecting the public health and safety of the kids and the staff in our town schools. So I want to thank you for your leadership on those issues. Thank you, and take care and have a good evening.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
comments.
Hi, Kathy Milletti from 17 Knowles Drive. I'm coming here for the third time, and it's almost a year since I contacted the mayor and then got council people involved in trying to help one of my clients get an easement for his property. He's in a landlocked property, and he needs an easement. And even though everyone said they would help and work on it, it goes into a black hole. I've been talking with the engineer who directs me to the township attorney, and I don't get any responses. And I was assured months ago that this would be cleared up. And it's not. And I started this work around August 15th, 2019.
Mr. Wall, you have any comments on that? Do you know if anyone's handling it?
What's the particular property in question?
It's Holman's Place. It was formerly Kathy Holman's. New person bought it, and they need the easement, just to be sure that he always has access to his property.
I know you referenced, does this go back about 10 or 15 years?
This goes back a long time. There was an easement somewhere in the records developed, but nobody can find the documentation on it. And it goes back quite a while. I think there's something with the road that the township never really wanted to grant it, but the person has put in a letter that he does not want the township to maintain the road. He just wants the easement.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if the prior attorney had addressed this matter, not concluded it. I just mean open a file on it, Mr. McGuckin, but would that file ring a bell, that particular property with the engineer?
I did have a discussion with the engineer, but I did not get the file, but I will follow up and try to get it.
Okay, to be fair to Mr. McGuckin, he's new as of January 1st as the town attorney. Mr. McGuckin, can we get an update on that?
Certainly.
By next meeting would be
Holman
that?
Place.
Holman Place? Yes, sir. Okay.
Do we have like a date that we might have an update?
I'll be able to report back to the council at our next meeting as to what I can find out. I can't tell you what I'll find out, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to try to get as much information as I can.
Okay, I've supplied everything from Pineland, Pinelands Commission's involved. I think Pinelands Commission has put a violation on the property because of the township paving that road years ago.
Okay.
But I've supplied everything to the township engineers that I've had in, Mrs. Holman's file, which is pretty thorough. And I think our zoning officer also has everything involved from the Pinelands and associated with the property as well, because he shared probably about 8 files with me. Okay, so next meeting, we should have an answer.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah,
thank
sorry
you.
for the hassle.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Bob Skinner, 404 Larkspur Lane. First of all, I had left a message for you, Mr. Wall, about, we were talking about West Commodore Boulevard. Edward Drive was previously vacated, and I just wanted to ask about some type of guidance as to how we vacate Broadway Avenue next, because my client would like to do that. Excuse me. I apologize for running late. I was really busy today, so I've been running all over the place. Second of all, I still would like to know about the rent leveling board ordinance, whether or not we have a target date in mind as to when we're going to have first reading on that, and if anybody has taken a look at that for its validity,
Yeah, Council Vice President Kern, you want
Thank
to
you.
comment on that?
Sure. So, gone over it in detail, and provided it to the other member of the committee, and we're setting up a date now to go over, we'll set up the date probably this week, to go over the details of that and see what the best course of action would be to bring towards the council attorney, the township attorney, and decide what to go there from there. As far as a date to bring something before the council, that's too early to do that.
Okay. Now, I know that there's been a lot of changes on the board here, so the only thing is, it's been taking 1.5 years so far to get to this point.
Yeah, and
So-
and I could appreciate that. With Councilman Kern assigned to it, there's ownership now. I think it was a little vague, just kind of keeping it open about assigning somebody, so we took that action, Councilman Kern alone, going forward, and I have no doubt that he'll move on it.
Gotcha. Second of all, well, third of all in this case, I know that the Airbnb issue has come up in town. And I was taking a look in some detail about some of what Tom's River is offering. Now, of course, someone may have already spoken of this, but I really think that, it might behoove us to sort of take a look at what Tom's River is doing with their Airbnb ordinance and sort of visit that as well.
Well, we know we just introduced it tonight without giving residents a lot of time to read it. I think you'll find that they're very similar, and that, we have in front of us, while we introduced it tonight, with this latest incident being kind of the final straw on the catalyst to introduce it, and we just didn't see a reason to wait any longer and took decisive action to introduce it tonight. It's not an ordinance that was haphazardly put together by any means. It's very, very well thought out, and something that we think will be highly effective in this town as well.
Okay, well, like I said, as far as that rent control board ordinance is concerned, and I hate keep coming back to that, but I wish that we had the same vigor in getting that pushed through as we did with the Airbnb type of ordinance. And it's mainly because of the fact that we went ahead and we had a subcommittee created to create the ordinance. And in addition to that, the regs, or I won't say that, the procedures that were put in place are now being put in place right now. We're actually using them, and we're also using the forms to go along with it. So as a result of that, you've got an apple and an orange now. So the ordinance as it sits right now is really out of whack with what our forms are. So it really would be helpful if we can get that sort of tied in,
Yeah. Well, as you know, we did a reorg last month. One of the things that we wanted to make sure happened going forward was assigning ownership. The same will apply actually to the last resident's comments regarding her easement concern.
Sure.
We don't want it to be in a black hole. As you know, we asked Council Vice President Kern to take ownership of this particular item. So you have clear ownership, you know who's working on it, and I have no doubt that he'll continue to move it forward. We will do the same with the last concern that was raised and make sure that it's no longer in a black hole, that we have actual ownership around it.
Also, when we were talking the first time here about the vacating of a street, I know that Edward Drive had been vacated, I think it was around 2014 or 15. So I know that that was something that was voted on by the council. So I wanted to know, now what do we do? So how does the client put in for vacating Broadway Ave next? Who can I go to get that direction?
Thank you. I
Because
received.
I'm unclear myself.
We'll clarify it. Received your call yesterday on the matter and referred it to Julio Vega, who's with T&M Engineers,
Okay.
to review and comment on the process within which the governing body would consider any particular action on a street.
Yeah, because I do know that all owners that are touching that street have to be notified, and there's some sort of process involved that I am not privy to,
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, well, thank you. I'll await a call back on that or some type of email. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks for the
much.
comments. Anybody else?
Seeing no one, move to close the public portion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to close?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, folks. Be safe driving home.